off with some mobilization as always, and we'll work a little bit more on breathing into the back of the body, which we were looking at last week. So using that turtle position to really get that space in the back of the body opening up, releasing and relaxing the front of the shoulders here as well a little bit. We'll start off as always with our knocking, our mobilization, taking your feet about shoulder width apart, a little bit of bend in those knees so that we don't lock the knees out, tall through the spine, get that nice strong spine. Start moving from the hips and the waist, and then just let the arms follow, letting the elbows bend, tapping across the belly, and just tapping the back of the body. So that back hand is just tapping on the lower back. This is working on mobilizing the spine, so getting the spine moving in a rotational direction. So in order for us to breathe efficiently, we need to have the flexibility within the spine, within the rib cage, within the neck, so that we can breathe, or our body can breathe naturally, effortlessly, without thinking about it the majority of the time. And then when we do specific breathing exercises or breathing practices, they're done for a particular purpose. So we have a reason why we are doing those particular breathing practices. Now what we're going to do is the front, as the arm swings across the front, just going to make a very light fist, and it's just going to come and tap just under the collarbone. So you're just giving yourself a light tap under the collarbone. That back hand is still tapping the back of the body. In Chinese medicine, these are the long points. So obviously from a point of view of breath, actually bringing awareness and some mobility to these points, some energy to these points is good. So you could take a slightly fuller breath in. Let's take a fuller breath in if you feel you need it. If we take a fuller volume of air, we just slow the breath down. We often hold a lot of tightness and tension in our neck, and if the neck muscles are tight, then the breath can all pull up into the shoulders and to the neck. So let's release a little bit of tension in the neck just by creating a cupped hand and just tapping on the shoulder. Keep tall through the spine. And just breathing easy in and out through the nose. Should be feeling quite warm and mobilized now. Coming back down to the chest, those lung points, just lightly tapping. This is getting vibration through the body, getting blood flowing, getting lymphatic fluids drained, helping to drain lymphatic fluids. And then we come back down to belly. And slow down. Slow it down into water waves. Taking your time to feel that sensation of the air just floating, gliding through the fingers. And then come to standing. Just take a moment to balance, so you're hip width apart. That upper body should feel nice and tingly and light and lifted. Just tuning in with the breath for a moment, so the face relaxed, jaw muscles relaxed, lips just lightly together. Just tune into that breath as you just breathe naturally in and out through the nose. When we think of the nose, again, don't just think of that small space stuck on the top or the front of the face. Think of the nasal cavity, so around the eyes, up here in the eyes, above the eyes, the space behind the nostrils, the space behind the nose. That little bit of a smile will help to open up that space. Relaxing the eye sockets, relaxing the forehead will help to open up that space. Stepping back out. Spinal cord breathing with a slight difference now. So we're just going to emphasize the tail tuck. So you're just going to squeeze the glutes as we do that pelvis tucking underneath. So squeezing the bum muscles. And when we come to this point, rather than looking up, which we've done before, I want you to lift the nape of the neck, so lift the base of the skull. So it's a little bit of a tuck of the chin. So you get in a lengthening from here, from the thoracic spine, thinking of the neck starting from down here, lengthening upwards. So you're bringing that chin down a little bit. So really getting that movement here and lifting the base of the skull. Actually, a good way to start off with that, let's just do this first. So place one hand, the back of that hand, almost where you've been tapping, or on your a little bit lower than where you've been tapping actually, more on your tailbone, and then pop the other hand on the base of the skull. And then we'll do a breathe in. As you breathe in, tuck the tailbone, and then just almost like just give yourself a little lift of the skull. And then as you breathe out, you just soften. As you breathe in, lengthen, extend. As you breathe out, soften. So just do that gradually, slowly, effortlessly. I want you to get that idea of extending the spine, lengthening and lift, almost like lifting you upwards, but you're lifting the base of the neck upwards. Extending the spine, and then you're relaxing and softening. So a little bit of tuck of the tailbone. As you breathe in. It's another sort of spine wave. You want to get that feeling of the spine waving. Let's just do a couple more. It's almost like you are almost pushing your head back into the hand as well. And it's good for opening up the shoulders, relaxing the shoulders. Let's now take that into the spinal cord breathing. So a little bit more bend in the knees. As we come up, imagine that you've got that hand there, just bringing that head back towards the hand, chin slightly tucked. And then as we curl into that little ball, really squeeze your bum, squeeze the glutes, squeeze, squeeze, squeeze. So breathing in, breathing out, breathing in, breathing out. Breathing in. It's a really nice way of getting that spine lengthened without necessarily thinking about being lifted. I think I remember Paul saying at one of the sessions that after lifted, you almost like that can create rigidity. So you want that spine lengthened, but without feeling as if you are being pulled up or rigid as you're lifting up. And you're getting that pump going between the sacrum, the base of the body, and the cranium, the skull. Let's do a couple more. I'm getting loads of creaks and crunches this morning. I don't know if anybody else is. Squeeze in there. And then take a rest. Have a little shake out if you need to shake out at all. Just a little bit of a variation there on our spinal cord breathing. Bit of variation on the dog wags the tail. Let's go as wide as we can. Gliding side to side. Now with this one, make sure pelvis stays parallel to the ground and that we don't get any rotation in the pelvis. So as I glide, if I'm mirroring you and I glide towards the right, then that left leg straightens. You get a little bit of rotation in, so that left hip opens up. That right knee bends a little bit and glides over that right toe. As I slide the opposite way, it does the same. Torso, at the moment, is just sitting on top of the hips. So in itself, it's a great hip and leg exercise, leg strengthener. Also, we're not coming up and down, so we're just gliding. And then the fun bit where you let the upper body go. And you can hinge slightly forwards, so you get a little bit of a rotation. You can rest your hands lightly on your thighs. I think our Chi Challenge is amazing. I think it's brilliant. Some of the photographs and some of the things that we're getting posted in our Facebook group is absolutely fantastic. There's a real water theme, which is great. The strength and the power of water moving, but the fluidity of water. So this is called Move Your Body Like a River. So you get that strength through the legs, but you just get that flow movement through the upper body. And you'll feel it work in the rib cage. The rib cage is rotating, moving around. Just breathing easy in and out through the nose. You can go slower, you can go a little bit faster. And then you can come up, stand up tall, straighten the legs. Toes in, heels in, just get balanced. Stand for a moment there. Check in with your balance. Let's do a little bit of hips. So back out to our shoulder width. Knees bent. So it's that combination one. We're just doing a little bit of belly dancing. So you're just isolating the pelvis and sternum. So you're doing big. No, you're not doing big. You're doing medium hip circles. So you're going back, side, tuck under, and round. Back, side, tuck under, and round. Keeping tall through the upper body. Not locked, not rigid. Tall and light and relaxed. And then in the other direction. And come up to standing. The idea of all of this mobility or energizing, moving the body to start off with is just to clear any tightness and tension, so that when we do any type of practice, whether we're doing breathing practice, whether we're doing exercise, whether we're going out running, whatever type of thing we're going to do, we're going out walking, is that we've prepared the body for that so that we can breathe as efficiently as possible. We've created the space. So let's take our feet to a comfortable standing position, about shoulder width, a little bit of bend in our knees, just resting the hands on the lower abdomen. So we'll just focus on the areas of where we feel the response to our breath. We're just bringing our attention down to the lower abdomen, just below the belly button. And in qigong, tai chi, this area, if you go in towards the spine, is called your lower dan chen, or this is the powerhouse, the energy center, the physical energy center of the body. Pretty logical when you think about it, because it's our body's center of gravity. So just bring your attention to that area. And as you are naturally breathing in and out, notice how this area responds. And what I've found works particularly well for me is just thinking about the hip crease here, the crease in the front of the hips. If you just feel as if you are letting go a little bit more here in the hips. So just breathe, if you like, breathing into the hips. I know we're not physically breathing into the hips because you can't physically breathe air down there. So you're getting that feeling as you're breathing in, there's that little bit of movement forwards. Belly breathing, if you like, so you feel the movement, the expansion here in the front of the hips. Also, we're not just thinking of the front of the body, so again, if you go a little bit deeper into the center of the body, remember that when we breathe in, it's three-dimensional. It's the same as when we're walking, when we're moving, when we're running. We're not just walking in a straight line. The whole body is rotating, is spiraling. So just have that an awareness. This is quite subtle. It's very, very subtle. It's difficult to teach. It's difficult to see. I can't show you how to do it. Now bring your awareness onto those lower ribs. So this is a bit easier to notice and feel. So get your fingers in those floating ribs down there, the ribs at the back of the body, the ribs at the side of the body. Focusing on that three-dimensional breath. Notice it first. And here we can do a few fuller breaths. So remember, if we take a fuller breath, we just slow it down so that we don't end up over breathing. So a full breath in through the nose, and physically push the hands out as you breathe in. So bring those ribs moving sideways, laterally. And then as you breathe out, you can squeeze those ribs in. So again, breathe in. Feel them moving. They might not move a lot, so don't worry if they're not moving a lot, but just feel you're creating space here in the side of the ribs. And as you breathe out, squeeze them in a little bit. So it's like breathing horizontally. Let's do a couple more. And you might find one side moves a little bit easier than the other side. And then take a rest there. It's very tempting when we take a full breath is to think and bring everything up here. So that's what we don't want to do. We don't want to pull, we don't want to breathe vertically. We don't want to pull everything up as we breathe in. We want to breathe horizontally and in three dimensions around this band here. Popping your hands on the back. Actually, let's go straight into the turtle because I find actually this is most probably easier to feel that breath into the back of the body. Now we can do this as we did last week, so you can go a little bit wider and we can just rest on the thighs there. If that feels uncomfortable, you can also get a chair. So if it's easier, you can get a chair and you can just sit in this position. So we're not hunched up, we're not scrunched up like this, but you're just sat in this position. So if that feels more comfortable for you today, then have a little go in the chair. What we want to do is get that idea of breathing into the back. If you're comfortable in the turtle position, let's just start hands on here. And release the shoulders a little bit. So watch that the shoulders aren't crunched up towards the neck like that, but also we don't want them forced down so everything's locked here. We don't want you to try and be rigid here in the back. So we want a little bit of freedom in the shoulders and a pretty straight back, but without it being rigid. I mean, this is so important. It's like when we're standing, we don't want to be rigid. And now feel the breath. Breathe into the back of the body, breathe into the kidneys. You will feel the breath come into the top part of the lungs as well. That is important because we want breath up here, but we don't want to be tight in the top part of the lungs. So it's almost just a little release where we were tapping actually in our knocking. So this is great. So you'll feel our legs working. So it's a good leg strengthener. But it's also a good way to breathe into the back of the body. And you can take slightly fuller, deeper breaths. Just to get some movement there in the back of the body. If it gets too much in the legs, then obviously just slowly stand up. Okay, just in your own time, do a couple more. Slightly fuller, quiet, silent breaths. Feel that expansion in the kidneys, massaging the kidneys. And then slowly straighten the legs. Slowly, 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 slowly roll up. Don't come up too quickly. Bringing the arms up. Breath in. Breath out. Breath in. Breath out. Let's do one more pulling down. Breath in. And breath out. This breathing into the back of the body is something that I've been focusing on the past couple of weeks. I know we've done it all the time when we've been doing these classes and focusing on breathing into the back, breathing into the kidneys. But actually when I was in Scotland and we were doing the sauna, the guy who was organising the sauna was a paramedic, so that was great. But he was saying when we were doing the sauna in the tripod position, sitting, so you're sitting like this, and it suddenly dawned on me that you're putting yourself in that position to breathe efficiently. And then I was like, turtle position, you're breathing into your back. If we're exercising a lot, we often think, oh, we shouldn't be bending over to get our breath back. But actually, if you think about it, getting your breath back, that position is great because you're breathing into the back of the body. There's a difference between that position, getting my breath back, as opposed to, oh my God, I'm keeled over because I'm out of breath. So if you think about it, our bodies are very, very clever because it goes, I need to get my breath back. I'm out of breath. I need to get my breath back. You're going into that turtle position. So just a little thing to play around with. I've been thinking about that, doing some of my practice a little bit more like that, doing some of my meditation in a chair, just with that slight hinge forwards, breathing into the back, releasing the shoulders a little bit. Great. Give yourself a shake out. Let's finish off with a nice shake. Tapping the heels into the ground. Letting the shoulders go. Shaking the arms a little bit. Let's take a full breath in. And breathe out. Long, satisfying sigh out. Have that intention of just releasing any tightness, any tension, getting energized for whatever you've got planned for the day ahead. Full breath in. And one more full breath in. And slow it down, slow it down, slow it down. Have a little stretch if you need a stretch. And we will finish there. Brilliant. Great work. I was watching on Zoom there. Everybody stayed in that position just about. So that was really good, strengthening the legs. Well, the Chi Challenge is fantastic. I'm really, really pleased if you are in on joining that. If you're not, you can check out the Facebook group and join in with that 30-day Chi Challenge. But keep up all the brilliant work, and I will see you on, it's Tuesday today, I'll see you on Thursday. Take care. Thanks, everyone. Thanks for joining. Bye. Bye-bye.